Better Call Saul Season 6 Episode 8 is only 2 weeks away, and as I grow more excited for the season's conclusion, I still remain in this purgatory of sadness and anger. I'm going to talk about some more Breaking Bad characters or Better Call Saul characters that I didn't mention in the original Purgatory video. And yes, there will be spoilers for Better Call Saul Season 6, specifically Episodes 3 and 7. Firstly, I have to talk about one of my favorite characters, Ignacio Varga, played by Michael Mando, who I'll be calling Nacho for the rest of the time being. Nacho is, in my opinion, one of my favorite new characters in the Better Call Saul story, alongside Lalo Salamanca. Every time he's on screen, I just hear myself going, Nacho, in my mind. This character has great development throughout the entire story, from his intro to Tuco all the way to him killing himself and finally doing something on his own terms to cover Gus. I loved his character every step of the way. His relationship with his father is painful in many ways, especially with the way that it ends. But I mean this in a good way because they make you feel for his character. It adds more depth and feeling. Nacho overall is a great character, and I cannot wait to see more worked with his actor. Another character that they grow on in Better Call Saul, Mike Ehrmantraut, played by Jonathan Banks, is not only a good character in Breaking Bad, but he's an even better character in Better Call Saul. Not only do they go over his past in Philly and give his character more depth and feeling, they show how Mike is familiar with Gus and the rest of Gus's crew. And the story with Mike and his son's past about how Mike was a corrupt cop and his son wasn't, but his son died because he wasn't a corrupt cop, is a great storyline, and I'm glad it brings more of Mike's character into the scene. It shows how he was not only a loving father, but he cares about his son's family. It's a side of Better Call Saul I really like, even if it is just a small part. If I could ask for one thing in life, it would have to be a Mike spinoff about his past in Philly as a corrupt cop. This character is amazing, and I'm excited to see if they do any more Breaking Bad spinoffs. I hope they continue off with Mike somehow. Despite this next character having both a small role in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, every time this character is on screen, I do enjoy his presence. Gail Betterker, played by David Casteval, is a small character, but when he is in a scene in both shows, I do tend to enjoy it. His character has a unique dynamic to the show overall, and it's always a blast when he is on screen. His character is a better cook than Walter White, and he's almost as calm as Gus. I would love to see more Gail if possible, despite Better Call Saul coming to an end soon. Him and his goofy singing is just fun to watch when everything just goes to hell in Breaking Bad. Next, we have one of my personally more favorite characters, especially towards the end of the season, Howard Hamlin, played by Patrick Fabian, pointed out to be the bad guy for most of Better Call Saul. But later in the show, you can realize he's kind of the only good person with good intentions that only followed Chuck's lead. And when Chuck died, he went his own route. He went as far to make ends meet with Jimmy, gave him a job at HHM, but Jimmy turned that down, obviously, and went to Davis and Maine. Even when everything went to shit, Howard still recommended him to Davis and Maine as well. That's how he got that job. Overall, Howard was the only honest working American in this whole show. And even when he hit rock bottom with both times after Chuck died and when Jimmy and Kim tortured him with their elaborate plan, Howard still tried to get back to the top. It's truly a shame the way this character met his fate, especially due to it basically being all Kim's and Jimmy's fault. Knowing how Better Call Saul is, I would expect to hopefully see more of his character in a flashback, especially if they're cleaning up blood or something, just something very dark, but it just plays over a flash thing. I would really love to see more of Howard overall. Next is a completely new character as well. Kim Wexler, played by Ray Seahorn, was originally not my favorite character, but overall she's a very good character, especially because she is everything that Skylar isn't. Overall, she's good for Jimmy. When Kim is with Jimmy, usually it brings out his good moral side, and he acts like an actual decent human being. She's always beside Jimmy no matter what is going on. Even during the file swap for Chuck, Kim was beside him anyways. Throughout season 5 and 6, she's gradually turning into the female version of Saul Goodman though, and she's getting a taste of the life that Jimmy lives by doing cons and such. Now she created a whole plan to mess with Howard, and she did it successfully with almost no mistakes. I'm excited to see how her story ends in Better Call Saul, and I hope somehow they include her character in even more projects, especially this actor kills it. Another great character, Lalo Salamanca, played by Tony Dalton, was a new character introduced at the end of season 4 of Better Call Saul, and after watching season 5 and most of season 6, I have to say that Lalo is a great character overall. Not only is he a rival for Gus, and the dynamic between these two characters kicks ass because it's the only time you'll see Gus actually scared, but he's also a great villain, and whenever I see him on screen, he's always a cold-blood killer. He is the most villainous villain we've had in the Breaking Bad universe overall. He just kills innocent civilians for no reason. Killed Howard, he killed that random guy in the shop that no one knows the name of. I think it was Fred. And whenever he shows up on screen, I'm always excited to see what happens with specifically Lalo and Gus. These two are always clashing, especially before season 6 happens, and now with the season 6 thing going on with the laundromat and the chicken man, it has to be my favorite story of Better Call Saul right now, and I'm excited to see how it ends. Right now they're leading up to a showdown in the meth lab, but I hope it goes further than that somehow. Last but not least, Tuco Salamanca. Tuco Salamanca was a crazed maniac in both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. He had very little screen time in Better Call Saul, but within those minutes, it definitely established the character if you didn't know him. He beat the shit out of Mike just because he hit his car and, you know, he put his hand on him, which kind of makes more sense if you think think about it, but the plan worked to get him in jail, but Tuco hasn't returned since in Better Call Saul, so that ends of his story, and probably Better Call Saul because he dies in Breaking Bad. In Breaking Bad, he is way bigger of a character than he is in Better Call Saul. This character overall is, you can tell he's insane. He beats the shit out of one of his bodyguards purely because they said something towards Walter and Jesse. He killed him just over that. And yes, this is the introduction to Hector Salamanca, so honestly, I think overall, pretty solid character. But honestly, he freaks the fuck out of me, so hopefully no more Tuco Salamanca. Anyways, that's the end of the video. I want to sit here and thank you for sticking around to watch the full video, especially if you did make it this far. And if you did make it this far, please consider liking and subscribing, and maybe watching some of my other videos. My ranked redos series is personally one of my favorites. I enjoy making those, so yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching. Peace.